It's recording. So recap. Now that the camera's working again. Recap. Quizzes are optional, but I will hopefully convince you why you should do them in about 10 minutes or so, if the camera's still rolling, hopefully. How many points are the quizzes worth?
10.
They're 10. How many of them are going to be?
10.
Right, at least 10. I promise you at least 10. They'll probably be closer to 15 or 16 by the end. Sometimes I'll put 2 up per week. Like right now there's 1 put in every week, and there'll be at least 1 every week. Sometimes I'll throw 2 up there. Being optional, that's fine. You can just choose to do 1, both, or neither. You get 4 options there. There'll be some in class, which again are optional, but since they're in class, they're doing them together, it makes perfect sense to do them in tournament and get 10 points. They're not extra credit. Don't think of them as extra credit, and we'll talk more about that when I have a little grade calculator we'll walk you through. So they're not extra credit, but they do basically help your grade, assuming that you're doing well on them, which you should be doing well on because who are you working with them with?
Anybody?
Anybody you want to. And I love seeing people sitting in a little circle working on these things and going like, no, check, you didn't carry the 1 right there. Or did you think about this? And all of a sudden everybody's learning from everybody else. It's wonderful, it's wonderful. Education doesn't just take place right here, it takes place everywhere. So anyway, that's quizzes. Projects, how many of them are there?
4.
Are they optional?
No.
Please don't make them optional. I don't want to give you a 0, right? 4 of them, 100 points a pop. Who can you work on those with?
Most everyone.
Pretty much everybody. And according to Tiffany, it sounds like you can tutors the day before as long as you're not obnoxious about it. So that's good too. Fantastic. Can you use online resources on this stuff?
Yes.
Please do. Please do. One thing that drives me nuts is the fact that the younger generation of students is becoming unable to use Google as a search tool, let alone a database as a resource. So please use Google frequently. Okay, so we did that in this. Let's talk about exams. I used to do 3 100-point exams in class, in week 4, in week 7, and then in the exam week. I've never been a fan of cumulative exams. So they're just 3 exams, they're snapshots. The first exam is whatever we do from week 1 to week 4. The next exam is week 4 to week 7, and the next exam is week 7 to the end of the course. So they're comprehensive in those chunks, but they're not cumulative. Except for the fact that there are certain things in any math or stat course that are cumulative. I'll keep using the word average forever. You'll learn it next week, and we're going to use it for the rest of our lives together. But as far as I won't go back to the first homework set and pull a question from that and put it on exam 3. That's what I'm getting at. So I don't believe in cumulative exams. Nobody's shown me a study that proves to me that they do anything more than frustrate students. But I used to give them in class for week 4, week 7, week 11, or week 12. And I did that to try to keep them away from the midterm final thing, because it seemed like everybody was doing midterms and finals. So this was my way of keeping my exams away from everybody else's, again, trying to alleviate math anxiety. Well, then folks started giving 3 exams too. So then I had the exact same problem. I was creating a problem that I was trying to alleviate. So then my thought was I can go back to midterms and finals, but that seemed rough. That seems like an awful lot of points for 2 assessments. So I tried to try something different last year informally. I now, instead of doing a 100-point exam completely in class, I split the exams 50 points and 50 points. 50 points in class and 50 points out of class. Where the 50 points out of class are pretty much work with anybody, except for me, I think, on these. I could be wrong about that. I have a rule about this, and I've got it written down somewhere. It was either not with me or not with the tutors, and I'll figure that out before the first one, I promise. But anyway, I decided to make the exams, like I said, half in class, half out. And you guys chime in from my 105 class I haven't before, if you had me in class before, and remind me what the rule is if you remember.
You said no help from you on just exams.
Wasn't no me, but it was tutors were okay.
Tutors were okay
There's the rule.
if you had something to stop.
And now I was trying to force you guys to use each other and outside resources as resources. So let's take a look at the schedule page real quick. So you'll notice in week 4, the first in-class portion of your exam is going to be on that day. And it won't be the entire class. It'll be about an hour's worth of time. It probably won't even take you that long. I keep the in-class stuff fairly topical, fairly straightforward. Like for example, one of the questions on the first exam might be, what is the average of the following 6 numbers? Okay, very simple. Just can you take an average of these? And you laugh, Patrick, and it's like I can do that right now. But when your anxiety level's up, and when you've got 8 million things on your mind, and when you got 2 hours sleep the night before because you had a paper due, sometimes that question can feel like an AP Chem problem, right? So that's an in-class exam. On the out-of-class part, which you'll see next week, is right here. It says out-of-class portion will be hyperlinked well in advance. I will hyperlink that at least a week and a half in advance. that might be, here's a set of data. Which measure of center would you use to describe it? Mode, median, or average, and why? That's an out-of-class question. If I ever ask a question like that in class, you have every right to kick me in the face. Because that is not a correct in-class question. That is too much of an angst creation for you guys. It's a wonderful question. It's a fantastic question, actually. It's one that gets completely obliterated by the news media very often. Oh, the average salary of blah, 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 blah. Why are you even talking about average salaries? We'll talk more about that on Wednesday and Monday of next week. But it's a great question to answer, but just not in a time situation, right? A time situation, very, very straightforward type questions. Can you enter this data into your TI, sort it, and find the middle value? Can you find the max? Can you find the min? Really straightforward procedural types. The 50-point out of class, because you have all the time essentially in the world to work on it, that's where I ask you the more critically thinking, the more logical, the more problem-solving questions. And they're good ones. They're ones that come up in my experience. For example, my chickens. Every time I turn around, my chickens are giving me the most amazing problems to work on with my classes. And I'm thankful for those 4 girls. And how many of you guys keep chickens? Anybody here keep chickens? A couple of you. There's always like 3 or 4 folks that keep chickens. They generate so much wonderful probability and statistics for us. And you'll see how. You'll see how they open the doors to all these other questions that you can see the applications to. But until you actually think about it, oh my God, yeah, chickens and their eggs. I'm damned. And it's amazing, but again, out of class. It needs to be out of class. You need to have the time to get into Excel, to learn the Excel if you need it, to crunch. Was that wind or screaming?
Screaming.
Okay, good. If it was wind, that's boring. Screaming is much better. So anyway, you see what I'm getting at here? And this went over so well. This was like an informal project last year. It went over so well that I just kept doing it. And I actually asked my students in the spring term, I'm like, why don't we just make everything out of class? I mean, the quizzes are already out of class, right? The projects are out of class. Half of the exams are, let's make everything out of class.
And they said no.
And they said no. They want to have a little bit of individual accountability, which blew my mind. I'll ask you guys again at the end of this term and what your thoughts are. But it was pretty much 75-25. We want it half and half versus we want it all out of class. And every once in a while, some kid's like, I like it the old way, make it all in class. I mean, that's an outlier enough, but it just kind of caught me off guard. I wasn't expecting that, but since that was the overriding feel, we're going to keep it that way. Please, tell me your name.
I'm John.
John, thank you.
Or Jonathan, either way.
You got it.
But can we start that like today?
You could if it was linked.
Okay.
The problem with that out-of-class part of that exam is I have to know roughly what section we're going to get to for that one because they're not comprehensive and because I'm not going to force us to get to a certain topic. So as soon as it's linked, by all means, it'll be linked, Jonathan, it'll be linked before week 4 starts.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
If you want to get on something early, I applaud you for doing that. Jump on the project, the first project, and that first quiz, which we'll talk about momentarily. But yeah, man, as soon as things are linked, get on it. It's just the out-of-class exams, I have to wait to see where we are to see what's going to be on it. Like I've got this repository of ideas that keep coming to me, and watching my son interact with the world, watching the world interact with me and my family, watching the news, all this stuff just keeps falling into my lap. But it's just a matter of where to put it all and when to kind of drop it on you guys. Does that make sense? The projects are self-explanatory enough, the exams wouldn't be. They would require some prior information that you'll get in class and through the homework and the quizzes. Great question, thank you. But yeah, as soon as something's linked, get in there, for sure. The same reason the quizzes aren't linked past the first week yet, too. So, cool? Awesome. Other questions? That was a great one. You guys can work on anything you want, anytime you want. If it's linked, I feel that you're ready and you can get in there and start looking at it. So, please.
Do we turn in our exams in class, the ones that we do outside of class?
You'll turn them in just like projects and quizzes, so that day, you'll bring them in and make a pile on the desk that day. Just drop them in and then you're ready to go. Cool? Yeah, so quizzes and projects are like that too. Just whenever the due date is, just bring them in. And you'll have, like I said, at least a week and a half to work on those things. Plenty of, and I was concerned about that too, and my last few students said it's plenty of time. Any more, and you're giving us too much rope. So, please, John.
Are they in combination of like essay questions, multiple choice, true or false? Like what are they?
They can be anything. They tend to be roughly a third, 2/3, a third where you're writing out why, and 2/3 where you're running computations or doing things in Excel.
Okay.
So it's all over the board, but I do like to ask the why type questions on the out of class to make you write down kind of your thought processes. Can you explain why, in number 105, why is the average grade here the same as the average grade here? Like I want a sentence or two for explanation of that. So, but I know this isn't a writing class, So it's predominantly a computation and or skill class in that respect, but because it's more open-ended, I like the writing on those out of class ones.
Well, you had funny ways, sometimes you would ask it in such a way that we didn't understand really what you were asking because you were rounding it so
Yes.
out. And then we would just email you, and then you would just come to class and be like, we're gonna either do that right now, and that
Sure.
was nice.
And that's communication.
Hard.
I beg of you, if that happens, ask me.
Yeah.
I am one of them, I'm Italian. I'm one of the most approachable guys you're ever gonna meet. I'm an East Coast Italian. You don't get much, hey! If something doesn't make sense, email me and ask me. Chances are 5 other people are feeling and thinking the exact same thing, and none of you wanna ask me for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Totally cool.
It's cool.
I'm Sean. I'm not Professor Roll. I'm Sean. Ask me the question. Let's get it answered. It's like Tiffany just said.
Mhm.
Cool?
Yeah, it was.
Good. Any other questions, please?
So are there any points that are attached to attendance?
Not. Can I come back to that in 2 minutes?
Okay.
No, not literally, but if I may, I think I can tie in this next bit to that question. So my grading policy, I want a 10-point grading scale. And you've got a lot of points to keep track of, don't you? You got 10 points per quiz. You've got 25 points per project. You got 100 points per exam. And that's annoying to do all that arithmetic. So what I've done is I set up this grading calculator. And the reason why it's tough to answer if there's any points, like I'm not going to grade you for a point for walking in the room, but I do those in-class quizzes from time to time. And you have to be here to do them. However, they're optional. So if you're not here and don't do them, it's not the end of the world. It won't count against you. But I want to go into the optional quiz bit more. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So let's set up, I don't want you guys doing arithmetic in your head, figuring your grade out. So I've given you this grading calculator that'll do it for you. So let's say it's week 5 and you're curious how you're doing in here. Just so you know, FYI, every Friday I email a progress report to you guys. So you'll get an email in your COCC inbox that'll let you know your progress. But if you want to know, like on a Tuesday night, how you're doing, you can do it this way. So let's say it's week 5, and you've taken an exam, and you've taken all 5 quizzes, yeah? And you've done 1 project by week 5. So right now the computer adds up all that points at 155 points. That's your denominator of your fraction. The numerator of your fraction is what? Your total points that you've earned. And that can be annoying. I want you to hang on to your stuff when I give it back to you graded. Hang on to that stuff. But let's just throw some numbers in. How'd you do on that first exam? Both parts added together out of 100. What'd you get?
77.
77.
Yeah.
Great year. Quizzes out of 10. How'd you do? That's 10s. What else?
Some 8s.
You got some 8s?
Yeah.
Well, let's just say you got a 1, because you had a really crappy day. Not a whole lot of sleep, dog was vomiting. Or child, whatever. Project out of 25? 20? There we go. Oops, not 120, 20. All right, hit calculate. You are sitting on a 76.5 right now. That's your grade based on that. Based on your 77 on the exam, your 20 on the project, and your 10s and your 8s and your 1. Go so far? Which puts you as what letter grade? Puts you in C range. Now the reason I make the quizzes optional, with me so far? This day right here, when you got the one on the quiz, you knew that day was going to be rough. You knew it. You walked in that day and you were running fever. Please don't come in with fever, by the way. Well, let's suppose you did it anyway. You knew you had no sleep, no coffee, couldn't find parking, had to park culinary, got here 3 minutes late, handed the quiz in, you knew it was crap. If you make it optional, all you've got to simply do is take that quiz away. Now you got to realize your numerator of your fraction just went down by 1, right? But yes, your denominator goes down by 10. You take that quiz out of circulation, and your overall average is now an 80.6. You just jumped 5 percentage points by not turning in a crappy quiz. And the reason for that is why? Why did your average just jump like that? What do we call that? You might not know this yet, that's okay. That quiz that you got a 1 out of 10 on, compared to the rest of your grades. I've used this word. It's an outlier. I used the word a couple times today. I'm using it kind of informally right now. It was an outlier. It wasn't indicative of what you were actually doing. Think about what you were doing. You were shooting at roughly 80 or 90%. Right? 100%, 100%, 80%, 80%, 80%, 77%. So you're bouncing right around 80%. Here comes this quiz that's 10%. It's going to drag that average towards that outlier. Take the outlier away, the average springs back to center, if you will. That's what you're allowing yourself to do, protect your center by not letting the outliers pull it down. Would you have a higher average if you got a 10 on that quiz? Yes. But the 10 wouldn't affect it as positively as not turning in the 1. That's the real reason I make the quizzes optional, because it protects your grade. Now, how are you going to know if you're doing well on the quizzes? Before you turn them in, of course. Now, how you get it back, you'll know. Who are you talking to?
Everybody.
Everybody. Anybody you want to. Talk with people. See if you're all coming to the same rough conclusion. The chance of you all being wrong on a quiz is essentially 0. And the more of you that are in agreement, the more 0 that becomes, if that makes sense. The more 0. That'll make a lot more sense by the time this class is over. I promise. Asymptotic zeros. Oh, goosebumps just thinking about it. Does this make sense? You seeing the point of optional quizzes now? Good. They protect you. That's the main reason I made them optional, is because they protect you guys. It lets you decide. It lets you decide whether or not you want to turn something in you're not 100% sure about. Cool? Please, tell me your name too.
Emily.
Emily, go ahead.
Okay, so if you can't be here for one day and you have the quiz done,
Mhm.
can I hand it in a day early?
You sure can. You can turn stuff in early all you want. And the next page we're going to talk about is actually an indicator of how you can get all the answers to those questions. But yes, turn them in early. Absolutely, please do. Tiff, do you have a question? Just move it.
Nope, just moving.
Now, you remember there was a quiz due on the first week, the first Wednesday, next class. And you're probably thinking like, what the hell, you haven't learned anything yet. It's true. There's a next page, rules hints. I'm not going to read this page to you because it looks like that. But I do want you to become familiar with that page. So, the quiz for Wednesday is a true-false quiz on that page. This is the only non-statistics, non-mathematics quiz you will have in the class, is what it's due on Wednesday. It's true-false quiz. If you took it in my class at 105, I don't think it's changed at all. I think it's the exact same quiz, so you probably still have it laying around. If you haven't taken it before, chances are you'll get a 10 out of 10 on it, because you can answer all these questions in the big yellow bricks that go down. But I just want you to get in there, and will I forget anything said to me before or after class? That's important, because people tell me things, and then expect me to remember that. And you'll pretty much realize that's going to be true, because I have the memory of a goldfish. Boom, that's the side of the tank. Boom, that's the side of the tank. Boom, boom. That's not too far off what my memory is. And you'll see in the syllabus how to make sure we can get around that, like emailing, calling, things like that, putting things down in writing for me. Because otherwise I'll be like, hey, all right, whoa, whoa, whoa. And then I'll walk out, it's gone, completely gone. So, fair?
Yeah.
So that's your quiz on Wednesday. It's a true-false quiz. Have at it. Have at it. Cool? That's the only one like this. Every other quiz will be somewhat statistics or mathematics based. But this one, I just wanted to get a quiz in this first week, and that seems to be the perfect place to do it. Enrichment, outcomes, and college policies. Honestly, I'll give you a brief overview. These are not crucial to learn about. The enrichment page is simply a resource for, you'll often hear me say things like, if you want a proof of this, it's on the enrichment page. Some students want to see mathematical proof of an idea. Good for you. That was me. I always wanted to see why something worked. The standard deviation of the bundling is root NPQ. Excuse me, why? I wanted to know why, and the prof was always like, it's calculus. I'm like, okay. So I'd go home and figure it out, because that's me. I'm a total geek. So I kept all my work, typed it up, and posted it here for you guys. So if you ever want to know why the mean and standard deviation of the standard normal distribution is 0 and 1, and you're bored one night at 3 in the morning and can't get to sleep, that's probably the place for you to go, because it'll put you right out in attendance. But that's what's there. Also what is there are some mathematical resources that some students have told me are useful. It's an enrichment page. Some students never go there ever, but you can go there if you need some extra, or if you just want to see something, or if you can ever respond to, oh, it's on the enrichment page. You can check it out there. Outcomes is simply just by law, I have to have that and this on the syllabus. It's a listing of the topics that we're going to be doing in the course, but you saw those already on the homework page. That's pretty much the outcomes of the course. And then college policies is just the lawyer talk that goes on our syllabus. So, speaking of syllabi, that's it. What do you think? Yeah? Any questions about the syllabus proper before we move on? I want to make sure we get them all answered. It's fairly straightforward. Some of it's a little bit weird. I know the quizzes especially, and the homework quizzes policy is a little bit weird, but I think you figure it out as we go. I mean, by end of week 10, everybody's like, oh, this makes perfect sense. But it is new at the beginning. Tell me your name again, too.
Shireen.
Shireen.
I have kind of an off question.
Yeah.
I heard from my advisor that you like to ride your bike down the hill and that we'll do some questions or something
That's
on that. Is that
105
true?
actually. That's a 105 thing we do. 105, yeah.
Right, okay.
I like to ride my bike, period.
Right. That's what he said.
But we actually track it in 105
Yeah, okay,
and plot the
alright.
speed. Yeah, we plot the
Yeah.
speed and position.
Right.
So, not in this class. We'll do, I'm trying to think of
Were you
bike
gonna do
related
anything
stuff.
like that?
Yes, we are. We're going to do my total fit victory. We do total fit victories. How many victories in 15 minutes? We do that as a question, I don't know, one of your first exams, just so you know. One of your first out of class exams. We'll do some, again, it's amazing how much of this stuff presents itself to you in everyday life compared to any other math class you've taken. So yes, I promise you plenty of applications. I promise you. That class of applications is criminal. Absolutely criminal. Any other questions? That was a great one. Shireen, thank you. And Emily. And John. I'm getting there. Cool, please, tell me your name. Renee, thank you.
You'll link your YouTube?
I will, my friend. So what you're going to see, very, very good question, on the schedule page, right under each day, I'll put here's the video from class.
Okay.
And I'm going to make a playlist called Math 243 Monday, Wednesday. And I'll just have them sequentially in there. And I'll try to keep starting and stopping the camera so it starts and stops in logical places so that each video is like a little 10 or 15 minute block. And today's a little bit different because it's more of a chunk of time. But yep, they'll all be linked each day. And I'll leave them up the entire term. Assuming I can get the camera to work. It's behaving itself now very nicely. I think it was, this thing was making it overheat. Might be the go-to. Cool? Awesome. Any other questions? That's the syllabus.
Oh wait, no.
Please.
What about you should talk about those really great coupons because those are.
I will when they're applicable. Tiffany, yes.
Okay.
The rainy day coupons,
Yeah.
yes. I've discovered that if I talk about it on the first day of class, then I have to remind people again when they're actually applied, and we'll apply them on week 3. I promise. Please.
So, in class it's more formal, like exact answers.
You're thinking of the exams.
Yes. and
John,
on
yes.
the exams. So outside of class, we have these 50 questions or whatever.
Oh God, no.
Or,
Like 10.
10, okay, and they're more, you want whys.
Yes, and there'll be many, many correct answers for those whys.
Okay. So
Oh, yeah,
so
dude.
partial credit.
There has to be.
Okay.
There has to be. Here's the thing. John struck upon something very, very important. I try to keep the in-class questions black-white. It's a 1 or a 0. But statistics is not like that. Statistics is all about how to measure the gray between the black and the white, the 1 and the 0, the 0.5s, the 0.7s, the 0.6s. But yes, you will discover that I can get 10 different students giving me 10 different answers, all of which are completely valid responses.
Okay.
And that takes them getting used to as statistical thinkers. That's one of the reasons I got the next half hour planned out as I have it planned out, is to kind of get you already primed thinking that way. It's very, very different than any math class you've had before in that respect, John. Thank you for that question. It's a fantastically good one. But yeah, tons of partial credit, of course, and also very often what you think would deserve partial credit will get full credit just because of the way you attack the problem. To say that my way of thinking about something is more valid than yours is completely ridiculous when there's so much gray area. So
it can be opinion.
it's not really an opinion because we're measuring everything. It's just how are we measuring it.
Okay.
That's where statistics. You've heard the old quote: "There are lies, damn lies, and statistics." You've heard that quote. Maybe you've heard it. If not, you just did, I guess. But the idea is there are many ways of measuring something, and you have to kind of convince someone why your way is the best.
So it's how you qualify it.
It is how you qualify it, how you back it up. That's why as soon as you said the reds and the yellows make you study better, how do you qualify that? What study do you think was done? I have an idea. Control group, experimental group, same assessment, everything's the same except for that one variable. That's how I think it would be qualified. When somebody else mentioned blues and purples and greens, I'm like, oh, there's different control groups. So all kinds, yes, very much. You'll get very good at writing in here. You'll get very, very good at writing, whether you like it or not. Yeah, John.
My last thing here.
Yeah, man.
Is it more quantity or quality?
Oh, it's always quality.
Always quality.
Yeah, if you can say something in 3 sentences, don't give me a bunch of BS for 20.
Okay.
Yeah, because I'll sit there and read it and be like, I'll actually put like, why? Where are you going with this? Like, I mean, I don't grade, like, I had a prof once that joked, my advanced calc prof said, okay, how I graded this assignment was I took it to the top of my stairs in my house and I dropped it. If it made it to the bottom, you got an A. If it made it halfway, you got, because his point was that the computation itself was the answer. It's what's in your work that I'm looking for. I'm looking for key terms or key ideas. And you can say it in different ways, for sure. But if you're just talking around the point, this is why it takes me forever to grade, which is okay, because it's worthwhile. But definitely I'm looking for quality more than quantity. Cool? Good questions, my friend. And please don't ever apologize for like just one more. These are good. Very, very good.
You said that it takes you a while to grade.
I try to get at least no more than a week turnaround.
Okay.
I have a grader to help me with some stuff like quizzes and sometimes projects. The exams are all me. I try to get it no more than a week turnaround. If I don't want it to be any more than that. I drink coffee to ensure that it doesn't have to be. Cool? Great questions, you guys. Tell me your name again.
Danny.
Danny and Roxy, that's right. Okay, good. Go ahead.
Do you give feedback on things that we get wrong or things like
Mm-hmm.
that?
I do. I absolutely do. That's why the whys come in. Like I agree with this, but this does not agree with this kind of a thing.
Excessive
Absolutely.
feedback. Yeah.
Excessive feedback, according to me. Woo! Wow.
I mean, it's nice, but
Excessive.
it's always like, okay, you can do it this way, you can go around this way.
Apparently I do. Wow.
It's in a nice way.
I appreciate that. Yes, so apparently yes. Anything else? These are great questions. Feedback is this is the one downside of not using like a blackboard kind of thing, because then I wouldn't have that instant feedback for you guys, which is why I apologize about a week turnaround. You know, we're getting so used to instant feedback, and there's no way for me to do that. There's no way for a computer to do that yet. We are not there technologically yet for this kind of a class to have anything more than just you did the average wrong.
I think a week is a good time. I think that's a good time.
We're going to shoot for even less, but at the same time, yeah, get it back as quick as I can, I promise. Cool? That's the syllabus, friends. One thing I did not mention, there's a stat of the day blog, I put day in quotes. This is something I started about a year ago. Basically, whenever something pops into my inbox, whether from a friend or from some of the sites I subscribe to, or if I encounter something that's kind of outside the scope of the course directly, I slap it on this stat of the day blog, which is basically this one just came in a couple days ago. Somebody went to the store, bought a half dozen eggs, and every single egg had 2 yolks. And the source, I believe, said that's a 1 in a trillion chance to get 6 eggs, all with double yolks. I created the stat of the day blog to attack questions like this. Like, is it actually that rare to get? What do you think? And there's no way for you to know the answer to that question right now by where you're sitting. But what I'm encouraging you to do in this blog, this is completely optional, by the way, this is extra credit should you choose to do it, is I want you to learn how to fact check, how to go online, find resources, and look for something like, okay, what is the chance of a double yolk in an egg? Okay, what is the actual chance? Like, how many eggs have double yolks? And what causes double yolks in an egg? If it's something like the conditions the chickens are kept in, well, then it might not be all that rare. So, for example, if the chickens are kept in a continual state of stress, well, then just start stressing your chickens, and you'll get double yolks all the time. You see what I'm saying? And it's not that rare. So why would they think it is that rare here? And then you start asking these questions that lead to new questions, and it leads you to a better understanding of what you actually hear about in the news media. So this is the stat of the day blog. There are tons of archives down here for it. Everything from hand dryers to my son playing with these things he blows up in the water to whatever is down in here. Feel free to dive around. You don't have to go chronologically, jump around if you want to. Post. You'll see on the top how to actually post. So you have to post to get the points. I get an email in my inbox that lets me know somebody's posting, so I'll actually know if you've replied to something. So that's pure extra credit. Pure extra credit should you choose to do it. Should you choose to do it. But it's there. It's there. It's what I call it stat of the day because I try to update it daily, but I fail almost inevitably updating it daily because stuff just gets in the way and other stuff to do. Cool, please.
How many of those do you mind if you do?
As many as you want. But just don't spend so much time doing that you neglect the other classes and the rest of this class. That's the one downside, that you can get caught up in there, but as many as you want. Yeah. And make sure you read the very top. It says what this blog is and how it works. For what I'm looking for as far as what your responses are. Like, you can't just go like, I agree. What's my point? Like, yeah. Why do you agree? What if I say I disagree with it now? And I can quantify it. Huh? Yeah. So that's the, yeah, do as many as you want though. No limit on them. And very rarely students, I'd say 2 or 3 students per class will get in there and do it. So be the one, by all means.
So we do get extra credit if we...
Yes, for contributing to that blog. Whoever asked me that was yes, you do. That is an extra credit opportunity, and you'll see it on what this blog is and how it works. You'll see it just outlined up there. Cool. Okay, any other questions with respect to that? Decent? How we feeling? Feeling okay? Still feeling okay? Hope that blog didn't just freak you out. Danny, go ahead.
Oh, no,
Oh, just thumbs up. Thumbs up. I saw his pencil. All right, well, we've got a few more minutes together. And I just wanted to, this is, again, you're not responsible for this. I want to kind of get your brain, if I can find it, my brain that is. I want to get your brain wrapped around. I may have to open some of these from the network's been active. There we go. So I want to kind of get you thinking about some of the things you don't do in a traditional mathematics. Let me do this too while we're here.